Women in Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, once again, good morning, and I welcome you to this virtual 19th Extraordinary Summit of the East African Heads of State and Government. Before we commence our business, permit me to call upon let me call the summit now to order. According to rule number 11 of the Rules of Procedure of the Summit of Heads of State and Government, the quorum is all partner states. Representation, I have ascertained that now all partner states are in attendance. And I thank you all once again, Your Excellencies, for finding time to attend this 19th Extraordinary Summit. As we have been guided, the first order of business is the Constitution of the Bureau, and I call for the Constitution of the Bureau with the Republic of Kenya as chair and the Republic of Burundi as rapporteur, and I note that the Bureau is now duly constituted. I thank you. We now move to the adoption of the agenda and program, and I call for proposals to adopt and second the adoption of the agenda and program. And maybe just by a show of hands, we can approve the agenda and program. I thank Your Excellencies. The agenda and program are adopted. I will now give my opening remarks for the summit. Your Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Prosper Bazumbaza, Vice President of the Republic of Burundi, Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin, Minister of Presidential Affairs in the Republic of South Sudan, honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to this extraordinary summit of the East African Heads of State and Government. We meet today to consider issues of critical importance to our regional integration process. All over the world, countries are integrating and organizing themselves into regional economic blocs to strengthen intra-regional trading and increase inter-regional competitiveness through economies of scale. Here in East Africa, we did resolve more than 50 years ago that we would approach the globalized world as a united bloc. Over the last 2 decades since its revival, the East African community has continued to deepen and widen the regional integration process, guided by our treaty for the establishment of the East African community. Today, we take another critical step towards regional integration as we deliberate on the application by the Democratic Republic of the Congo to join the East African community. When we discussed the issue during our last meeting in December of 2021, we agreed that the application be prioritized and concluded within the provisions of the treaty. I want to applaud all government ministers and officials from all partner states, as well as the East African community officials who worked hard on this decision to expeditiously conclude the negotiations, thus paving the way for the admission of the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African community. The Democratic Republic of Congo applied to join the East African community in February of 2018. Today, 4 years on, the Democratic Republic of Congo has met all the set criteria for admission, and we are all proud to have concluded the regional processes for admitting new members as provided for in our rules of procedure. Admitting the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African community is historic for our community and for the African continent at large. It demonstrates the agility of the community to expand beyond its social-cultural boundaries to new people and trade-centered partnerships and collaboration, which expand opportunities for our people in trade, investment, and jobs. Your Excellencies, today, the 29th of March, 2022, therefore marks another historic day for the East African community as we admit an additional member to our growing community. This date adds to other calendar milestones as we progressively deepen our integration to appreciate the journey we have walked together, and it is worth reminding ourselves of the other calendar milestones, and these include November 30th of 1999, when during the 4th summit that was held in Arusha, we signed the treaty for the establishment of the East African community. We moved to July 7th of the year 2000, the date on which the treaty for the re-establishment of the East African community came into force, recreating a new regional organization, the East African community. To June the 18th, 2007, when the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Burundi acceded to the East African Treaty. To July 1st of 2009, when both Rwanda and Burundi joined the East African Customs Union and later held simultaneous official launch ceremonies in their respective capitals on the 6th of July, 2009. And then to September 5th, 2016, when the Republic of South Sudan became a full member of the East African community. I therefore today commend the negotiation teams led by the Council of Ministers for their dedication and the good work that they have done in processing this application from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I further commend the East African organs, institutions for facilitating the processing and producing the result in record times. Today, as the chair of the East African community, I proudly and warmly welcome our brothers and sisters from the Democratic Republic of Congo to the East African community, and we look forward to joining hands in strengthening our community together. Working together, we have more to gain than when we are separate.
Well, thank you so much, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you so much, of course, for that speech. And welcome to Pan-African Friday. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. It is the 1st of April on this year, 2022. Another very lovely day. And of course, we just get into the discussion here of the Democratic Republic of Congo joining the East African community and, of course, becoming its 7th member after admitting South Sudan to the community. Now, this expands and broadens the territory of the EAC and, of course, the trade bloc that we have here, and also brings with it a good number of French speakers, Lingala speakers, to a community that formerly has been dominated by the British or former British colonies or the English-speaking countries of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. Welcome to that. Now, the biggest question is who joins most from the inclusion of the DRC into the fraternity today. Now, that's where our conversation will be. But also just let you know that later today, we will be receiving the remains of the late Jacob Lokori Olanya, and we expect that his body will be landing at Entebbe International Airport anytime after midday today. And of course, the plan or the arranged expected time of arrival is at 2 p.m. We'll get into the conversation, and with me in studios, the usual Pan-African suspects. I'll start with Ndugu Rugarama from the Pan-African Movement. Chairperson, very welcome.
Thank you so much, Ndugu Jagenda, and my dear comrades Mututa, and Ndugu Akor, and good morning to you all who are viewing us from wherever you're viewing us from.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Karibu. Thank you for joining us. Ndugu Akol, salimia watu. Karibu.
Yeah, I say thank you very much, Ndugu Jagenda. I'm happy really to be here, of course, and as you said, later in the day, we shall be receiving the remains of late Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Olanya. Yeah, and definitely we say yes, we wish everybody strength, because it is not, we are still mourning. Yeah, and maybe the other issue is we should learn to guard our peace, because what is happening in Mali is affecting the operations of the African Union. Yes,
Okay, Mututa?
Yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone who is following us at this material time, and also want to thank our ardent followers, both many of them we do know, but they do know us, and that will always keep update with them.
Okay, well, that's very important. Now, we were listening to President Muigai Kenyatta of the Republic of Kenya, and it was, of course, a longer speech than where we stopped or ended, but the most important thing was to get that announcement of we now officially welcome the DRC into the fraternity. DRC applied in 2018, and I think that's the same time that President Tshilombo Tshisekedi also took power, also came in as a president of that vanguard country called the DRC. But of course, here is where it is, and the biggest conversation on DRC's inclusion to the EAC bloc is basically for trade issues or economic gains or benefits, but that's where we are. Ndugu Akol, I think I'll start with you. What do you think will be the immediate changes to what we're seeing now, the immediate changes now, and the reshaping of the East African community? Previously, of course, we had the 3 founding members. Then, of course, brought in Rwanda, Burundi. We saw the advent of South Sudan, and I don't know, we need to also examine that, how impactful it's been for South Sudan, since South Sudan also joined the community. Now we have the DRC, and when you look at Article 3 of the treaty, it also talks about the geography and proximity of countries that should be allowed to join the community. So the advent of the DRC means means it opens a way for Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, Angola, Zambia, all those now they can apply to be part of now the big or greater ESC. Watch and ski Baraka, then we continue.
Well, thank you very much. I think the inclusion of Congo comes with a lot of both challenges, but also and opportunities. Now, the opportunity, of course, we are looking at economic gains, but also the social gains, because you see, DRC borders almost all.
It actually borders 9 countries.
5. No, the East African.
Oh, the East African.
Yes,
yeah.
Borders are the five
of the East African countries.
East African countries. So implying that
it's only Kenya, I think, that
it's only Kenya that doesn't border, yes. But implying that the rest, the rest of the countries have relatives in Congo. Yes, because of how Africa was fragmented. But again, when Rwanda and Burundi joined, one would easily know that in future also Congo would join, because Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo, that was what used to be Belgium, Africa. Yes, so when Rwanda and Burundi joined, actually, it was natural that at a certain time, DRC would also be joining. Then the other still on the aspect of the social part of it is that now the people had already integrated the border communities. That even much as the borders are I'll talk about Uganda's border with Congo, because of COVID had been closed. There was no much business going on, the formal. But informally, people have been actually doing the businesses. So this is going to help the people integrate more now freely, but also it is going to accelerate trade, because I could see how Congolese would always be extorted a lot of money. They say bring a visa, bring this, bring that. Now their joining is actually going to boost and accelerate trade. My only concern now is the name. Yes, the name, whether it is still supposed to be called the East African Community, because I want to draw a lesson from when Tanganyika and Zanzibar came together to form a union. There was a lot of debate
on the name.
On the name, because at first we used to be called Muungano wa Tanganyika na Zanzibar. And people were saying this is it is a sentence of a name. Why don't we get something? So they said, okay, let's they advertised and said people should suggest until the name Tanzania was brought on board. So the rate at which the East African community is expanding, I think we'll better get a name now that really captures what is real. Because when you say it is the East African community, and now you have 3 countries from Central Africa, yeah, I think now this is something. Then second, also should have a name that is African, where they can say, yes, this particular block, this is the name that has been given to this particular block. I think that is, I also look at what happened in Zambia, Zimbabwe. That was part of Rhodesia. He said, no, there was my Northern Rhodesia,
Southern Rhodesia.
And when they got independence, I think we should look for a name. And in Zimbabwe, they had this historic Zumba Zamawe, one of the oldest, it's believed to be one of the oldest buildings on earth. Yes, that was built out of stone, and in their dialect down there, that is in the Shona, it's called the Zumba Zamau, and that's how they got the name Zimbabwe, the Great Zimbabwe. So we also have to think of coming up with a name that actually reflects who exactly we are, because now the name East African, the East African community, I think also ought to be changed. Now the other aspect that also Congo comes with it, of course, linguistically we are expanding, because ideally English was the medium of communication, the working language. But you see, I think as they anticipated that yes, Congo will be joining soon, then they had to, Burundi had to push so much that French is included as one of the working languages. And when it comes to, of course, the Swahili, Congolese, of course, speak better Swahili than Uganda, and the whole eastern part of Congo.
Worse.
Yes, I don't know, they speak better than Uganda at least. So the whole eastern part of Congo, they can communicate in Swahili. They can talk. They can communicate with the East Africans. So by and large, I say Congo joining the East African community. That is the kudo for the region, and that is a step further in the eventual integration of Africa, because this is what Nyerere had envisaged, that instead of having United States of Africa at once, let us first form a strong regional blocks, then those regional blocks can keep expanding, and then eventually we can get, because that's also America came together. That is how also the process of the process of the unification of Germany and Italy, that's how it started. That it is one state after the other until we have everybody in one place.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Ndugu Mtuta, talk about the inclusion of the DRC. They applied in 2018. A couple of years later, they've been admitted and, of course, allowed into that. Now we wait to see what the parliament in the DRC, of course, does to ratify the EAC treaty and, of course, all these agreements to become law to them and to officially now get there. We expect that by October this year, they shall have ratified the treaty and, of course, now fully participating. The next thing we'll see is we'll now see their participation at Yala, also having 9 members representing them at the regional parliament. Then we'll see them also fronting names for the ESCJ at both courts, the Court of First Instance and the Appellate Court there. And of course, even the rotation now of leadership moving from President Kenyatta now maybe to Shilombo Tshisekedi, or just like that, fully seeing them participating. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
But also the application was at the same time, I think along the same time with Ethiopia. Now, I guess
Ethiopia,
because of
Somalia
rather, I guess because of the number of issues that have come up, the Somalia application is still in process, and I think they will also be considered alongside the rest. Now, he was talking about having a name. I think that's going to be a very long debate, because I see also Djibouti joining, and there are likely Ethiopia also joining. Now, yeah, exactly. So it's going to be from coast to coast. So whether that is going to still remain the East African community, which I have no problem with the name, or there will be another name, which is also going to be very tricky to come up with. But the most important thing and the interesting feature of it is that at least we have had now Congo formally joining the East African community. It comes with a lot of opportunities, especially for the interactions between the countries of East Africa, the other countries already members, and the DRC. We have had a number of issues for Ugandans, for example, traveling to DRC and vice versa. Congolese who travel to Uganda, you have to pay for a visa of $100, and then a number of things. And this has been a volume of trade between Congo and Uganda. Well, South Sudan joined, and like for me, earlier said this, I think for me, that admission was a bit premature, because the people of South Sudan, unlike the DRC, there wasn't much in common between the Sudan, the South Sudan, and the rest of the East African community members. There wasn't much in common in terms of taxation, in terms of trading regimes, in terms of legislative regimes. There was a disconnect rather, but I think with time it's going to be improved. Now the problem we're having is that being a young state, they're also learning how to interact at that level. And then, of course, the problem is back at home. No wonder now you have, I think, South Sudan and which is the other Syria, country which is not paying the subscriptions. I think it's Burundi.
I think Burundi, yes. I think Burundi
so
is not paying.
Those are the, actually, I think South Sudan and Burundi are supposed to be suspended from the community for
not meeting their obligations.
Exactly.
Belonging.
So that is not a good start, but you will not be surprised with those two countries. But I know Congo, given the history and given the relationship with the neighboring countries, because Uganda, for example, is a home to Congolese. I think if Indians and the Wachotoras are asking for recognition, I think Congolese should also ask for recognition, because definitely we have many of them here. Now, this 300 million population is a big number. That even if you talked of intra-trading within the East African community,
among ourselves,
yeah, it's a big market. We just need to make use of it. Now, for Uganda, and consciously talking about it, many people are saying that what do we benefit as Ugandans? But I think normally when one says that, they're pointing fingers at the government of Uganda. But when you look at what happens elsewhere, I think it's not even the responsibility of government to ensure that when we join Congo, we need to do business with Congo. As we speak now, actually, Kenya has been running adverts on radio and TV and all the media, encouraging the people of Kenya to invest in Congo. At one point, you remember the deputy president was up front speaking about the milk which could be sold to the people in Congo. Now, maybe that's where you can fault our government, but even when Uganda is saying, look, let's open the roads so that the trade can be fast, some people are saying, why are we even doing that?
Why are you crossing over to do roads in another country?
At the same time, you look at it that, for example, in Sudan, Uganda made a very big contribution to the liberation of Sudan interstate. But we ended up selling their tomatoes and I think eggs and a few, but you saw Kenyans putting up banks, putting up hotels. Now, you don't expect the government of Uganda to go there and to do that.
Okay.
It was the business community to lead. But if Ugandans still are timid, thinking that if you go there, you are going to lose your business, you are going to be killed, then what do you expect? Government is not going to plant you there. So I think the business community also in Uganda needs to be aggressive.
Okay.
By now, we've already been in Somalia and many other countries where we have been. But of course, government is doing what it can, but it's not going to force people to be there for business. So the admission of DRC, for me, I'm happy that it's going to boost a lot of intra-trade within the region, but also it's likely to provide the sanity of the security within the East African the Great Lakes region, because then the systems will be working closely than it has been in the past.
Okay, very good. Now, to our viewers out there, we are just talking about, of course, the inclusion of the DRC into the fraternity of the East African community, and this just happened a few days ago. Earlier on the beginning of Pan-African Friday today, we heard from the chairperson of the summit, His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of the Republic of Kenya, doing that proclamation and the pronouncement of officially allowing the DRC coming in to the community. Now, to you, Ndugu Garama, in the 2019 edition of the Africa Regional Index, Integration Index, ranked the East African Community Bloc as the most integrated amongst all the 8 regional blocks that we have on the continent. Now, you also notice that ESC is taking a lead. It's now the anchor bloc on the continent. But there are countries that in of course, more than one regional bloc, one integration bloc. When you talk about, there's what they call the Economic Community of Central Africa, the Economic Community of Central Africa. Now, That alone has 11 states, and of the 11 states, 3 already belong to the ESC. You have Burundi as a member there, you have Rwanda as a member there, you also have the DRC as a member there. Then of course you'll have the others. SADC, for example, you have SADC to the side where you have Tanzania as a member, but you also have Tanzania as a founding member in the ESC here. And of course the coming in of the DRC also opens way for other countries that belong to the SADC to come in. For example, when you bring in Zambia, Angola is part of the Central, the Economic Community of Central Africa. Looking at all these many blocks that we have, that are all majorly focused on economic issues, they seem like they're a duplication of one another. Now you have IGAD, where we again come and converge. You have the ESC, you have SADC the other side, where you have again them coming to converge. There are not so many countries that just in that one particular block. What do these things mean to us? And now when you see callers talk about redefinition and of course now renaming East Africa, the original East Africa community that had only 3 states is now extended to 7 of them, and who knows, maybe by the end of 2025 we shall have increased to even 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever that may be. We'll, just looking at that and its dynamics, do we still need all the many blocks that we have on the continent currently?
Yes, we actually need more
of those
blocks coming up. There is absolutely no harm in having as many regional groupings as humanly possible. We could have SADC, yes. There is EACA, yes. There is IGAD, yes. We even now have, there is ECOWAS, yes. We even have now the major one, the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, where virtually all of us on the African continent are supposed to be members. Now, just before I lose this point, I want to comment on my brother Comrade Mututa's frustration. I see where he's coming from, that Burundi and the Southern Sudan, the Syrio non-female subscription not paying members should be suspended. Of course, from the disciplinary point of view, any grouping has got its rules and regulations. His concerns are even shared across the board. But my advice is that we all know where Burundi and Southern Sudan are coming from. We know what they have been going through. The best way would not be to suspend them, but to encourage them. And also to stabilize, because the revenues, there have been no revenues, for instance, for Burundi to talk about. There have been no revenues. And not that potentially they cannot generate the revenue. No, but because of the internal upheavals, the attempt to overthrow government, the internal destabilization, which impacts on all sectors, economic, social, and political. When the politics goes wrong in a country, the rest of the sectors go wrong. So we can hold on for those countries, and we also participate, and that is the purpose of regional groupings. We participate in making sure that we stabilize for these sisters and brothers of ours to gain their footing. You realize, for instance, that Somalia has applied. Sudan was the very first to apply, by the way, Khartoum, the Sudan Khartoum. And I can assure you going forward, and why has it not been admitted? The politics, it is the politics really, our internal politics. Sudan is harboring rebels who are destabilizing Uganda, and it would not be good, even if, by the way, Kenya wanted to support that kind of admission. It would have to look at the sister here, Uganda, and say, but how will the Ugandans take it? So you say, we penned that application. But the politics are getting better, and I can assure you that Sudan is also going to get admitted. Somalia will get admitted. Djibouti is on the way. And so far now, the East African community, the EACA, as we fondly call it, is, I think, the 4th largest regional grouping on the continent. I mean in the world.
The globe. Yeah.
In the globe. Fourth largest grouping. And of course, the purpose, we know why we came together. The economic benefits, social, political benefits, and our ultimate aim is to have a political federation that we can have one government. So it takes me back that the wars, if I may call them wars, the disagreements that erupted at the initiation of Organization of African Unity, whereby the Monrovia and the Casablanca group were talking about, let's have the entire integration now, and others, the Nyerere, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and the group were saying, no, we can go piecemeal, which was reacted when Gaddafi, the late comrade Gaddafi, said, let's have this thing now. And then our own president said, no, we go back to what Mwalimu Julius Nyerere said, and we can have regional groupings that are going to catapult this continent into one government. Now, I want to believe that where we are headed with the inclusion of DRC and the population, and I think Ndugu Mtuta talked about it, the population now, of course, we also get our statistics a little bit not so correct, could be well coming to 300 million people, because we are about 200. If without DRC, which is about 100 million people, we were like 190 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now when you add something like 100, it comes to almost the 300 that we are sharing here. I can assure you that that market, and of course we can talk about the capacity purchasing power. You see, let us not underrate what man is able to achieve when you purpose to achieve it. We may not necessarily have the capacity, because we remember China, for instance, before the realization of the economic miracle in 1976, around there, the economic miracle, the chairman Mao regime, his endeavor to make sure that he gains the economic footing. What was China? What was there? What was the capacity of the Chinese at that time? But they have purposed from that time, and see where they are now. The second largest economy, and God knows, within the next 10 coming years, probably they would have even overtaken the pompous and ever-talking America. I want also to state that we've got no losses in coming together as a region. Because in terms of peace, I want to prophesy that the history of Congo, which was punctuated, has been punctuated with, of course, colonialism like the rest of Africa, but its form of colonialism was, I think, the worst case scenario, because even up to now, we can see the extreme levels of exploitation by the colonialists, dating, of course, riding on the shoulders of Leopold, then Belgium, then from Belgium, then the so-called UN and the UN agencies, the MONUSCO and MONUC, and them enabling or creating a fertile ground for the exploitation. But you see, again, the pretense by those agencies and the UN and the big boys that when Uganda, for instance, moves into DRC, then the members of UPDF and some isolated individuals are going to be pointed out as exploiters. And you imagine what capacity has Uganda got to exploit the mineral resources of DRC. So at the end of the day, we are saying, for instance, by coming together, if we said Inga Dam, because you see, we seem to be fighting over nothing almost. Inga, if we poured our resources as the Eyaka, and we said we are going to construct Inga Dam to levels whereby all the member states, and even those that we also create a situation that all those that are going to come will have sufficient power supply from Inga Dam. Would solve the problem of power.
In the block, in the region.
Even on the continent, I can assure you, if we can have capacity to transmit the what?
The power.
Now, that is one. Two, if we said the natural resources, especially for instance, the forests, we harness the green in DRC, we would make sure that we concentrate our efforts, and this was said by Osejefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and it was repeated by Patrice Lumumba, MA, whereby we could turn DRC into, we concert our efforts and we turn DRC into a hub, a pharmaceutical hub of Africa. So the issue of innovation into the natural remedies of the health situation that on the African continent would certainly be sorted out.
Okay. Well, hold it there, Ndugu Rugarama. It's just 1:45, 10 o'clock, and of course we're carrying on and continuing with the conversation of the DRC coming into the fraternity of the ESC. Earlier alone we heard from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's hear now from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, also on DRC becoming a member, adopted and accepted to the ESC. Let's listen to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, His Excellency, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, His Excellency, Her Excellency, Mama Samia Hassan, His Excellency Antoine Tshisekedi, President of the DRC, the Vice President of Burundi, the Minister from South Sudan, the Secretary General. The joining of the East African community by DRC is a big event of great significance. I have been involved in these efforts for almost the last almost 60 years. And this is really very pleasant that DRC has finally reconnected formally with East Africa. What we call DRC now is very well known to we, the people of the Great Lakes. A part of it was part of the Kingdom of Rwanda, Ruchuru area. Another part was part of the Kingdom of Bunyoro. Then the forest, we called it Bulega. In fact, we even have a king who was called Kabarega, meaning he had a connection with the Congo people. Therefore, all these areas, we are connected. Before colonialism, as Mama Hassan said, Rwanda, Burundi, Karagwe, Tanzania, Buhaya, Kavirondo, what we used to call Kavirondo, that's Kenya, Usukuma. These were all connecting before colonialism. But when the colonists came, the Belgians took one side, then the British another side. That's how we got disconnected. So it's good that we are reassembling. In the 1960s, towards the end, even Zambia had applied to join the East African community. The Secretariat can check the records. Even Somalia had applied. Therefore, Congo coming is very crucial. It's a very big event. It's good that it has happened when I'm still alive. I'm a very happy man. Now, this means, as the Secretary General said, that this part of the world is connected coast to coast, Indian Ocean to the Atlantic. Population about 300 million people, the majority of which speak Swahili, because many people in Congo speak Swahili, apart from the other local languages, which we also share. So therefore, for people who are looking for prosperity, because really that is the main issue, this is a very big contribution. Prosperity means you produce and you sell. The more buyers you have, the better for that business. I'm therefore, on behalf of the people of Uganda, welcoming His Excellency Antoine Tshisekedi and Congo, DRC, to join us, their brothers and sisters. We now need to work on the issue of peace in Eastern Congo, because that area has been disturbed for a long time by different groups. But if we work together, that problem can be solved. So I thank His Excellency Uhuru for chairing us for this year. I thank everybody for supporting the reassembling of the African people. And I welcome and thank His Excellency Tshisekedi for finally bringing the DRC into the East African community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And of course, that's why Ndugu Rugarama, I will start with you from where President Museveni lives it. And he says, in the 60s, Zambia was requesting and asking to join. Now, we just talked about it and saying now Zambia belongs to another economic bloc called SADC. And now, the DRC coming in, of course, with the border and the proximity, the geography with Zambia, it also now makes it easier for them to also apply and come on. I am only thinking, President Tshisekedi, while very fresh in office, said, let's apply and join, and this is one of the feats that he's got as a president. How about if President Hakainde Hichilema, right there in Lusaka, also says, I am coming to the fold. Zambia now, looking at it, the bloc is actually widening, expanding, and growing bigger.
The African agenda and the Pan-African movement agenda from inception includes the dismantling of the colonial boundaries. I am personally very happy, and I share what my colleagues here have said, that this is a moment to celebrate, that we are on a trajectory of dismantling the colonial boundaries. We may not necessarily do it as radicals would want, that we now and then say that Tanzania does not pass here, it extends into Uganda, and Uganda extends into Tanzania. But what is important is that if we can have our people freely moving across each other's border, exporting their labor, services, and goods, then we have transcended the geographical limitations.
Yes.
When we defeat in terms of trade, the barriers, tariff, non-tariff barriers, then we have transcended what the colonial masters left with us. I was watching TV last night, and I went to the TV, Zambian TV, and there was this debate that we are having here. And there's one professor who was deep into this discussion, and also raising what Comrade Jagenda you've just raised about the overlap. And he said, and I agreed with him, that the overlaps are not a problem, because you see, as you move along, certainly you find members who are in SADC, others, and at the same time they are in East African community. But as you move along, as you progress, because now you realize that South Africa, for instance, has been enjoying out of a lot from DRC, out of, that would be what, SADC? The commerce, I think, something like that. But you see, EACA is more appealing, and I can assure you that as long as we still have the crop of political leadership that we have, and I believe the others that are going to come into offices, then the East Africa, the EACA concept is going to get more interesting. And some of these contradictions that, for instance, you are going to meet when you're a member of COMESA, a member of IGAD, and a member of EACA. We used to have in mathematics, what was it, elimination method.
The elimination method.
Yes. So you find some of these contradictions, they get eliminated. We don't have to dwell on them. That's why I said when you asked that, what about these overlaps? Are we not going to experience duplication? No. What happens is that we need as many of these economic groupings as humanly possible. Because you see, a plant will always, especially these creeping plants, will always creep and move to where the sun is bright. I can assure you in the same way in terms of trade and economics that member states will always associate themselves with where there are benefits. So some of these regional groupings will die a natural death. And the ones that are going to sprang and offer better opportunities will be maintained.
Sure.
We thought, for instance, that the aggressor, the colonial, biggest colonial master, Britain, would emphasize and see the need of staying in the European Union. But they were the first to run away. Now, that tells you that not everybody will see the need and the great importance in unification. There are those that are going to jump ship, but I can assure you, again, like Professor Rumumba usually say that I am not a Jewish prophet, but I can prophesy this. Going forward, Britain will find itself isolated in some areas, that it will realize its mistake, and she will want to come back. I can assure you that, because you must have, you look at the voting, it was a narrow win for them to jump out of the European community. And I don't think that they are getting it better now that they are out of this community. So I want to conclude by saying that yes, we have gotten this DRC as an admitted member. We have now increased the population from 190 to 300 people. We have increased the market. We have got chances of emphasizing some infrastructure development in a DRC, because DRC, although that coastline that is on the Antarctic, that is Antarctic, I think.
The Atlantic Ocean, yes.
Yeah, ocean. But you just look at the internal. When you look at the hinterland, the commodities now they are being exposed to the Dar es Salaam and Kenya ports, and the goods, the commodities will come much faster in and out of DRC. We have got situations whereby we are going to have the internal road infrastructure greatly getting improved. I think Uganda was taking a lead. We are going to experience exponential increase in trade because we have been having trade that is not documented. I can assure you, and I think it is my brothers here talked about it. In Sudan, personally I was in southern Sudan. I actually had an office there. But I can assure you that when you look at when Sudan had not been interfered with, and they had not experienced the problem they're experiencing now, the levels of commodities, the trade levels, and how much we are registering how much we were trading with Southern Sudan and the amount of money which we were getting from Southern Sudan, it had changed the people's lives. Yes, I agree that, for instance, Kenya was having their maybe heavier investments in terms of banks, but I can assure you that in terms of construction, Uganda was there. The engineers and the levels of construction that were going on. In terms of produce, that Uganda was the biggest. In terms of transport, it was actually Uganda and this other country. What is the name again? No. Transport, not Ethiopia. This one next to Ethiopia down there. Who are number one? Eritrea. Yes, in terms of transport. Who are number one, leading in Southern Sudan as far as transport is concerned. Borders, and you can underlook, by the way, you say, but now borders and matatus. But you don't know how much revenue that one is and how many families were benefiting from that kind of trade. Let me also add that there are badly needed sections of economy that if we improved on it, and DRC certainly provides some of these things, that if, for instance, Uganda, as it is leading in the road construction, of course we do not have that much money to undertake heavy investments in road constructions. We are still doing ours here, but at least we are opening the eyes and we are making a contribution. I want to believe if it is a deliberate decision by the region, like EYAKA, that we undertake construction of longer road networks and also the railway. I think the railway also is passing there. So we are going to have increased volumes of trade. We are going to do away with the informal, because Uganda now, I can tell you off the cuff, that has got 60% of its trade not documented, but they are in DRC. Now, if that was formalized under EYAKA as it is going to be, do you know how much revenue we are talking about? So there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's 10 o'clock this morning, and of course, Pan-African Friday goes up to 11 o'clock. And just like we told you later today, we also expect the remains of the late Right Honorable Jacob Lokoli Olanya to arrive into the country at 2 p.m. aboard Ethiopian Airlines, and UBC TV will definitely bring that live to you from the Entebbe International Airport, and subsequently we will let you know, because the program now to lay at rest the Right Honorable Jacob Lokoli Olanya starts today when the body gets into the country. When the body gets here, of course, it will be handed over to A+ Funeral Services, and there will be a service on Sunday at the home of the late in Muyenga. Monday, Tuesday, the body will be in Parliament. Wednesday will be in Kololo. Thursday, Wednesday, the body will be flown, of course, to Lalogi village in Omoro. Thursday, then Friday, 8th is when burial will be in Omoro, and it is Omoro that the Right Honorable Speaker was representing in Parliament as a member of Parliament. Now, that will all be live here on UBC. Now, we'll take a break shortly and return. When we return, we will also hear from Mama Hassan Samia Suluhu, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Then, again, continue with the conversation on Pan-African Friday today. We'll take a break and return.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's time to teach. Schools are open. In these days of COVID-19, teachers are not only giving knowledge, but protecting themselves and their students from the virus. As a teacher, you must ensure that students follow the set SOPs of always maintaining a distance of 2 meters from others in classrooms, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, wearing a washed and clean mask every day that covers their mouths and noses, and regularly washing their hands with soap and water. In addition to that, you must counsel students about stigma related to COVID-19 and discourage them from violence. Any violence against students from classmates, teachers or parents should be reported immediately to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Ensuring everyone's safety is key, so make sure students are out of class by the official closing time. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay.
Your Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya and Chairperson of the EAC Heads of State, Excellencies Heads of State and Government, representatives of the Heads of State of Burundi and South Sudan, Secretary General for the EAC, Speaker of the EALA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, it is an honor to be with you again, albeit virtually. Before I continue, Honorable Chair, allow me to join other speakers, the previous speakers, to express our condolences to our dear brother, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and through him to the members of Parliament, the bereaved family, and the people of Uganda for the demise of the former Speaker, Honorable Jacob Lokori Olanya. May the Almighty God grant his soul to all and rest the soul of Honorable Olanya in eternal peace. Amen. Excellencies, I would also wish to commend His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta for convening this important meeting with a very important agenda to our region, as its outcome will set another milestone, not only to the East African community, but also to the continent. With a long historical relationship with all EAC partner states, DRC is today officially joining the community as a full member. Tanzania say karibu sana, DRC. And I have been informed that during verification process, our team had a time to engage with all key stakeholders and were also part of DRC negotiation team. It is my optimism then that DRC will ratify the Treaty of Accession within a specified time to allow its citizens full integration into the community. And to my brother, Your Excellency Felix Tshisekedi, I commend you for a decision to seek admission into the EAC, and to the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Your country's decision to join the EAC will afford you a great opportunity to extend space for peace and security, prosperity and solidarity within your country, as well as to the region. Excellencies, it won't be fair to close my remarks without paying a vibrant tribute to the Council of Ministers and their peers on the DRC side and all experts involved since receiving the application by DRC to join the community. Likewise to the Secretariat for the excellent coordination of the whole exercise that allowed timely finalization of the process. We have already done justice to the people of East Africa and to the people of DRC. Finally, I'd wish to reiterate my personal commitment and that of the United Republic of Tanzania to the EAC integration. Excellencies, Ministers, Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. In Tanzania, we say kazi iendelee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mama Hassan Samia Suluhu, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you very much. Ndugu Akola, I'll start with you just right there. You had President Museveni speak. You've also had Mama Samia Hassan Suluhu also speaking. And of course, these speeches are all welcoming President Felix Chilombo Tshisekedi and the people of the DRC into the great and the leading economic bloc on the continent of Africa, the EAC. Your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much. And as Mama Suluhu Hassan just put it, I think we need to congratulate His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi. But also on the other hand, we also have to appreciate the fact that now that is another step toward this consolidation of power. Yeah, because ideally he has had issues with his predecessor on who exactly is in control, given that he did not have command over the army. Most of the members of parliament do not come from his party. So by seeking this kind of integration, it is a step towards his consolidation of power. Now, the other issue that stands here key is the issue of security, as peace and security. Actually, Eastern Congo has always been troubled, as President Museveni has rightly put it. Not just today. These things have been on, because you remember even people like Che Guevara came to fight in the Congo when they really tried to help the people of Congo overthrow Mobutu, and they were not successful. We've had a number of groups actually using Congo to destabilize countries in East Africa like Rwanda and Uganda. So now with the joining of Congo, DR Congo, I think that is an issue that really is going to be firmly discussed and maybe dealt with, so that we can see that now there is peace alongside that region. Now, there was also an issue that was raised of infrastructure, the roads and the road network. I think Congo still has a very long way to go in as far as realizing a very good road network. I think that is why they rely more on air transport. Yes, because from one place to another, because of the forests, the rivers, they still have another long way. Now, lastly, President Museveni did talk about that in the 60s, Zambia had wanted to join. Of course, Zambia's wish to join was as a result of the friendship between among the three people. That is President Obote in Uganda, Nyerere in Tanzania, and Kaunda. And of course, that was a follow-up of the Mulungushi.
The Mulungushi.
Yes. And this also culminated into the construction of the Tazara railway. So I also see that because Hakainde Hichilema, some time back when he started his political career, Kaunda did tell them that yes, this is the man to watch. And Kaunda defied his party to even support Hakainde. We're only sad that Hakainde became president when Kaunda had died. But at least he had done his part in showing the country. So I believe that Hakainde and the late Kaunda share the same vision, and I'm sure that sooner than later Zambia will also be joining. Now, the other aspect that we really need to, as Comrade Rugarama did say, that in terms of associations. People always want to associate with stronger groups, stronger organizations, and progressive. And when you look at the structure of the East African community, actually it is, I'm sorry to say this, it's more organized than African Union, because they have functional commissions. They have a sitting parliament. The African Union has a part-time parliament, but for us to have a full-time parliament as the East African community, we have a full arm of the judiciary, functional. Yes. When the continent actually does not have. So yeah, I can say that the East African community is more formidable.
The argument for and against the ICC is because the African Court of Justice doesn't seem to be anywhere. Because we run to the ICC because the African Court of Justice is not there to dispense justice. It's a moot court, actually. It's a moot court, like you said. It's just a moot court.
So these are aspects that, because even in some aspects we've seen African Union coming to benchmark from the East African community. How is this being done? The East African community has more commissions that are functional than actually the African Union. So these are things that, yes. So it is really very, very, my now other challenge is, because if you been to Arusha, the parliament, the East African Legislature, the building originally was built to accommodate the delegates or representatives from the 3 countries. Now you can see with the expansion, it means
so they need to create 9 more spaces in there,
9 more spaces.
or offices or seats.
Just like we have our parliament here that was created for, I think, was it 800 people, and now we have 500 people. So that is one of the major challenges. Now the other issue of Burundi and South Sudan not being defaulters. It has not started today, because in the 70s, when there was conflict between Nyerere and Kenyatta, it was Uganda sustaining the first East African community, because the two actually defied. They were not, and it was Uganda that continued supporting, that is Idi Amin, continued supporting the activities of this. Yes. So even at African Union, you remember it was Gaddafi who used to come into bail, because there were so many countries that were defaulting. But the importance of these communities is that the big brother helps the smaller brother to cope up with the pace. Okay,
very important. And Ndugum Tuta, when you look at the ESC here, for example, he hinted about the Mulungushi Club, but I want to take you to the founding fathers of the ESC, where you had Dr. Apirl Milton Obote of Uganda, we had Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and Mwalimu Kambarage Nyerere of Tanzania. Now, President Museveni normally shows us a newspaper, I think, of the August 1963, where these were actually saying, I think it's 1964, they're about saying 64, 65, they're about saying we need the federation now, you know, and they expected in their minds and hearts is Dr. Obote knew he would be here seeing a united East Africa. Kambarage Nyerere thought he would be here to see that, and maybe the late Muigai Kenyatta. However, they, of course, it dismembered in 1977, just 10 years after its formation, 77, it dismembered. And we saw now the revivalists, 1999, they're about reviving this community. Now, the revivalists or the revivers are Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the two late presidents, Arap Moi of Kenya and Benjamin Mkapa of Tanzania. Fortunately, President Museveni has been here and he's looked at these things with all the passion he sees. He's advocating for it. And now, look at everybody now. Let's look at all of them. You just talked about President Hichilema Hakainde of Zambia. Maybe the spirit of KK resides in him and he might see this. Mama Samia Hassan Suluhu here. Who knows whether the spirit of Kambarage Nyerere is also upon her, that she can actually see this. Looking at President Muigai Kenyatta, even when he's exiting the presidency, but we can think his father was there before, and his father is one of the founding fathers of what we're cherishing and talking about here today and now. Looking at the situation, looking at the bloc and as it is, and the advent, of course, of the DRC, what are the first things that you think should be the first things to work on? What are the first things that should be handled first?
it is also important that for the first things, talking about the first thing, to look at the last things that failed the former community, that we were not able to move with the earlier community, because by now would have been maybe had the political federation as we speak. But there were reasons, selfish reasons, that let us down. Now I hope those areas will need to be looked at so that in future it doesn't happen. I know there is this loose entry, there's that loose exit, if you so wished, that to no longer be a member of the community. But that also, for example, for Uganda, we were big losers in the other dissolution of the East African community, because for Kenya at least they benefited. They took the lion's share, the East African Community Industries, the East African Airlines, blah blah. A lot went there, but Ugandans, like you put, we had spent a lot of money even trying to sustain the very community, but we ended up, I think, the big losers. Now, I know that might not happen very soon, or never to happen, because lessons need to be learned in that area. But also at the same time, we need to look at these issues of mediocrity when it comes to joining, because already we have seen that this end is going up to the Indian Ocean. But also we are continuing to the other ocean also, because we see also the other Brazzaville soon also joining, because this is becoming a very progressive bloc. And a lot of people, a lot of countries within this corridor would want to join to be part of this progressive bloc. But also we need to look at the political question must be addressed, and addressed very well. Because if it is left only to the heads of state to manage, if today President Museveni disagrees with President Kenyatta, then you find the whole community in trouble. So we need to create safety fuses for that it even if the heads of countries are disagreeing, still the community can move on. So this issue of trying to undermine one, because when this thing started, many people have been saying it is because President Museveni is pushing it because he wants to be the president of East Africa. Exactly. And then you are wondering, I mean, this union, this is going to the community is going to outlive Museveni, even if he wanted to be a president of East African community. For how long is he going to be there? But the President Museveni, having that history, wants to see this happen. And once it happens, we are looking at many, like we have analyzed, not only in terms of trade, not only in terms of infrastructure, but also in terms of the future of this continent and the future of Uganda. So for me, I believe that what used to be a problem now may not be a problem. The President Museveni was particularly talking about the Eastern Congo, the insecurity. Because as a bloc, we are inheriting that problem. And it cannot be addressed in isolation. Now, I think DRC is lucky that it has partners who will be helping. Of course, Uganda has been helping, and many other countries have been helping that problem. But you know, the insecurity in the east of Congo is not only the insecurity for Congo. Of course, there are many other forces that would want to use Congo as a pad to destabilize the whole region. So joining together answers that question and timely and so well. The issues of infrastructure, when the roads are made, Uganda will be benefiting a lot from DRC, and also DRC from Uganda in terms of trade, but also even administration, because it also help Congo to be able to reach government, to be felt in these parts of Eastern Congo where there are many problems. So I think the trajectory will never been better and right than now, but also the commitment, the leadership commitment, the leadership question must be answered very well. I know the interministerial groupings that working. Program was talking about the processes for admission that sometimes
which seem cumbersome also in a way.
Yeah.
Yes, because when you look at you talked about, I think, Somalia. Somalia, at the time of I think Farmajo, when they applied and not yet been admitted to.
At the same time with South Sudan.
At the same time with actually South Sudan. And we actually thought maybe Somalia was coming in a little earlier at that time. DRC applies in 2018, and 4 years later, they are into the fold. Well, is it because of strategy? Is it because of positioning? Is it because of what comes? And of course, what would it also mean? Because when you look at Somalia, it's now slightly pacified, more peaceful than it used to be. Because at least we saw leadership coming there, we saw parliament come in, we saw lots of things coming into shape, and the fighting of the Al-Shabaab. But these are, of course, all the things that we need to look into and to see.
We need that coastline also, that Gulf of Eden.
Exactly.
If, for instance, that Somalia, Gulf of Eden, can be part of the East African community, I can assure you, the freight in terms of transportation that goes through the Gulf of Eden would ease a lot for us as a region, and it would propel the community into a lot of prosperity.
Well, gentlemen, let's again get to hearing President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and of course also his speech as I was welcoming the DRC in there. But after President Paul Kagame has spoken, I will ask Ndugu Akolia to come and not to translate. He will not translate anything. But
because President Tshisekedi will be speaking in.
Or maybe when Tshisekedi speaks in another language, maybe Lingala will have a Kolia translate or interpret to us. But I request that when President Kagame comes to speak, I will ask a call to come and sit in my chair here because duty has actually called. We need to be ready to go to the airport to receive the remains of the Right Honorable Jacob Olanya. So let's get President Paul Kagame, and we continue the conversation.
Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Chairperson of the Summit, Excellencies, Heads of State, Secretary General of the East African Community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me once again thank the Chairperson of the East African Community, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for convening this extraordinary summit to consider the admission of the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African Community, which is in line with our quest for wider and deeper integration of our region and the continent. I congratulate our brothers and sisters from the Democratic Republic of Congo and welcome them into the East African Community family. Rwanda commends the Council of Ministers and the East African Community Secretariat for speeding up this admission process. The accession of DRC and institutions of the community I urge all organs and institutions of the community to accelerate the full integration of DRC into organization in keeping with the roadmap approved by the Council of Ministers. Rwanda stands ready to play its part in this process. Before I conclude, allow me to extend our condolences to the government and the people of Uganda for the untimely passing of their Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Jacobo Olanya. Once again, Mr. President, the chair of our community, I congratulate you for convening us for this important occasion. And I congratulate the Democratic Republic of Congo and President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi for this historic step. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and indeed congratulating President Felix Tshisekedi and the people of DRC Congo for having successfully joined the East African community. And of course, we wait for the ratification process by the Parliament of DRC so that the citizens of DRC Congo can actually enjoy the fruits of joining the community. Yes, I begin with you, Comrade Rugarama, from the speech of President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. What do we see that Congo brings on to the board? But also, remember, Ndugu Jagenda had asked this, that we find Somalia had applied earlier, and yet Congo has just been, is it because that the DRC Congo has something to bring on the table and Somalia seems not to have something tangible to bring on the table?
No, interestingly, thank you so much, Comrade Ako. Interestingly, the processes of admission are not well known by majority of us. But when you take trouble to study, when a country applies to join a body like the ESC, what does it take to get admitted? There are a number of protocols, there are a number of processes under there before the admission. I will tell you that Sudan Khartoum applied so many years. All these countries we are talking about, it was Sudan Khartoum that applied much earlier. But it has not been admitted. Not that it is not going to be admitted, but it has not yet been admitted. And I'm sure...
Rugarama, if you can hold on to your point, the issue of Sudan Khartoum, one of the issues that was raised is that one of the qualities of one to join the East African community is proximity.
They call them the compliance.
Yes, the proximity. And remember, Sudan applied before South Sudan would apply.
Exactly.
The issue was that you can only come on board after South Sudan. You can
thank you so much. That was, but of course, for us who look beyond what has officially come out, we know as to why Sudan, the admission has been deferred up to a time that is not well known, because South Sudan has been admitted by, it is now coming to, you can do the math there, and then you will realize that probably it has to do with political leadership. You know, sometimes there is when a political leadership in a given country is very irreconcilable to the other member states, that it becomes practically difficult for such a member at that material time, unless, of course, certain fundamentals do change. I believe that the conditions now in Sudan, for instance, are that any time from now, assuming the issue of Southern Sudan was the factor, then it is going to be admitted. We leave it at that. DRC and Somalia, they all bring benefits to the community as they take also opportunities from the community. We, for instance, need that Gulf of Eden. Because, you see, what arrests development, part of what arrests development of any country, and majority of our countries, for instance, which are landlocked like Uganda, is the issue of tariff barriers, the tariff and non-tariff barriers that exist as we trade. But when we get into a community like Ayaka, then we deal with the hindrances to trade. And I want to believe that including Somalia, it is going to bring a lot of benefits to the East African community by way of eliminating a lot of the problems that some of our countries, like Uganda, which are landlocked, and of course accessing such huge water body where already the volumes, heavy volumes of trade, like the Gulf of Eden, which is definitely the Somali trading port. But I want also to state that in this, it would be futile to have big brothers, because you remember what failed the original East African community was the big brother element. In part of the reasons as to why it failed was the big brother element in Kenya, in our brothers in Kenya. And when you learn some of these lessons and now you rebrand yourself and you come back, you cannot repeat some of the mistakes. I want also to say that it was in order for the East African community to capture the Democratic Republic of Congo so fast. Why? Because DRC, now that it has been included and we have discussed here, you can see that it positions the EACA and puts it at a certain pedestal that if we begin step by step to realize the EACA agenda, it will be much faster and more profitable. So it was in order for the member states to realize a huge opportunity in admitting DRC and admit her so fast like they have.
Well, thank you very much, because I remember in 2018 when DRC did apply, President Magufuli then did say that the process should be expedited so that they could easily join. Now let's look at the processes, as he has really hinted on them, because ideally, yes, DRC is now on board, and the processes and now the operations of the EAC. How is it going to affect the operations of EAC?
Now, there could be a problem there, given that, under this common knowledge anyway, the level of corruption in the DRC, when it comes to customs, I think they need to move fast. Because I've heard business persons who are doing business across the borders, but they will tell you a lot of stories. And but also it also comes on the backdrop that even in the already formed members of the community, we still have issues of taxation. there are still some taxes that are still imposed on goods from one country to another. We have not totally streamlined that. So that one needs to be looked at very well, that now the DRC, when it comes on board, some of those issues will be well addressed. And knowing that for DRC, there are the regions, the regional governments are strong in their own way. So they also need to be brought on board to understand what they have joined, that if it is a tariff-free item that is supposed to travel across all these places in the provinces, it will be so allowed.
You know, Matuta, if I can come in here, you see when Rwanda and Burundi joined, they quickly adopted to the operations of EAC, because they quickly nominated their representatives at all commissions and all organs of the EAC. Now, when you look at South Sudan, that was admitted about 4 or 5 years ago, you find that up to now, they've actually failed to nominate members. Every other time, because they've had the opportunity to participate in activities.
Political leadership, who would nominate? They themselves internally, they themselves internally in their own government. The first vice president, second vice president, third vice, I don't know, God knows, they could be even having the fourth vice president. They are arresting their own substantive vice president. You know, and this is the politics that we were talking about. We said, unless the politics of individual member states are streamlined, there will always be spillovers to how they participate in regional groupings.
Yes, because as you say, because up to now, actually, EAC still has issues with South Sudan, that they do not, they have failed to really get the right representation. Today, it's this group coming. The other times, another group. They should have actually permanent representation there. Then now, when it comes to the politics in the DR Congo, because this is also one of the issues. How fast do you think really Congo is going to adapt so that they can actually fill up their positions at EAC?
And you know, there is also seeming disconnect between Kinshasa and
the Eastern Congo.
Yes, and the rest of the local governments. So that also needs to be for the minister who will be responsible for the EAC issues. Needs to move fast to have these governors on board and all the leadership, the parliaments because those parliaments are also strong in the local governments, in the regions, so that they are together in believing in what the president has done. Otherwise, if that was done in time, we'll still have those problems of the interconnectivity and also the representation at all levels. So that needs to be done fast. But that notwithstanding, I think because of the numbers of Congolese, most of the elite Congolese who are not in Congo, I think will be also the diaspora of Congo will also be another group to target, so that they can communicate back to the people. The good, and thank God we have many of them in Uganda. So I think they will they're more excited, I think, than us, the Ugandans, upon this achievement. So I think the goodwill is there. And like as put, the leadership is the issue now. The president needs to be to show leadership, and also government needs to be in charge, and the cabinet needs to take it up so that it is fast-tracked, and the ratification, because this ratification will be done with all those other government entities involved. It needs to be done, and done so fast that they can move faster. And I believe if that happens, they will be even able to move faster than Sudan.
Yeah, well, being able to move faster than Sudan, yes, Ndugu Rugarama, because when you look at DR Congo joining the East African community, yes, to the business community in DR Congo, that is good news. Even to the people, especially in the Eastern Congo, that is good news. But don't you think the politics in Kinshasa may fail us, just like we are seeing the politics in Juba failing South Sudan to fully participate in EAC activities?
The truth of the matter is that to you, Ndugu Akor, and our viewers, the regional groupings, wherever they have appeared, experience challenges. Now, experiencing challenges is not the issue, is not the problem. The problem is whatever challenges you experience as a group, how do you overcome the same?
Exactly.
I can assure you that the federation, how the United States of America, for instance, came together. Tell me which referendum was carried out. Some of these states, you will hear they were bought. That we went and bought this state, we joined it on the other one.
They were forcefully taken over.
Actually, majority of them were forcefully taken over. But again, of course, these are the contradictions we are talking about. You look at the extensions, you look at the one China policy, and look at the trouble they are getting, for instance, in Hong Kong. Even after the 99 years lease from Britain, the Hong Kong, if it was not the stamping of authority by the administration in Beijing, I can assure you would still be experiencing the riots on the streets from. So any grouping that comes together will experience this problem. The European Union, we thought this was the model. Everybody is going to look at the European Union and they are going to say, fast forward. A member we thought was well versed and schooled in the affairs of coming together was the first to jump ship. So the East African community is doing a tremendous job. I can assure you these other failings, because you see, it would be foolish of us to imagine that DRC, which is a Belgian, Leopold Belgian colonized and bred with the institutions, is the same as Uganda, which was colonized by the British, and they are still not left, they haven't left us. Those differences are there. The most important thing is realize what your differences are as you come together and jointly work on addressing those differences. The EAC, so far, quickly realized that, for instance, Burundi and
Rwanda.
DRC, we pass some parts of Rwanda is mainly it is Kiswahili and Chinyarwanda and English. Of course, the political leadership that I was talking about now also plays a very big role. The admission of DRC, the challenges, internal challenges like you talked about, them of course we knew that, we still know that internally and politically speaking, there has been, Tshisekedi was like a project. Those of us who have read a lot into some of these things and we don't sleep, we go study, look at the history, look at the prevailing circumstances. We know that he was, wanted to use him, our brother Kabila, as a project that then we can bounce back. But I am glad to say that there has been a very good transition. His Excellency Tshisekedi has transited himself into a potential leader that he, on his own...
a potential project now.
on his own, he's doing a tremendous job. But when you look at how he has managed to cooperate with the regional members, the neighbors, when you look at how he has managed to invite the friends to come and help him solve some of the internal problems, when you look at how he has managed to handle the internal politics themselves, because there was even an attempt on his political leadership in the form of a coup. How he managed to neutralize it, whoever helped him, that's another debate. But I want to state also that when you look at the biggest question now that we should be asking ourselves is, we seem to be having a very good enterprise. This enterprise is profitable and it is called East African Community.
Well, if you can hold it there, Ndugu Mtuta, let's look at issues that Rugarama is raising. Because some analysts are saying that actually Tshisekedi looking out is one way of really stamping his authority in Congo, given that he does not have the numbers in parliament, he does not have the numbers in government, and also in the army.
Has learned so fast, and for a short time has been at the helm of power. And what also helped him was when he headed the African Union as the chairperson. It also gave him an eye-opener to see things from beyond Congo. And he must have really moved on fast. And I can trust that if it were a project, then it was a project gone wrong because whoever projected him may not benefit.
He was the person, the initiator of the project, underestimated Tshisekedi.
Exactly. What is likely to happen is that I see, because the chaos that he inherited, both in the government, in the parliament, and the whole government was in chaos. But this short time, he has given him that time to put a lot of things in order. And don't be surprised that in the next government, in the next election, he comes on as a very credible candidate and wins with a very big margin. Yes, for these elections, and I see him doing that.
Yeah, so, in terms of now winning election, I think that is a foregone conclusion, because he even has the Tshisekedi name to fall back to. Yes.
Exactly. And with now his regional connections, roads being made into Congo from Uganda, you see the rebels that used to disturb him from the neighboring other countries neutralized, and even within the internal tension eased. I think he becomes a better leader than what has been there. So I see Congo moving in a new direction, and given that, if he's to be given another term, this issue of the infrastructure of health institutions in the country, of course, you are talking about, because of the bad road network, people now resort to air travel.
Air transport,
but if you are in
we have the air traffic, we have DRC owning its own air.
Exactly.
No. Actually, when you go to DRC, you'll find that most people own planes. Planes to charter are so many as compared to internally, as compared to
but like
Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Then as we prepare to get out of here, I just want us to look at how we prepare our people, especially Ugandans, to tap into the opportunities. Because ideally, Uganda, we've always missed out on this, that we are always at the front of mobilizing other countries, liberating other countries, but after that has been achieved, we don't prepare our people to tap in opportunities, and you find that better opportunities are taken by Kenya. So how do we position our people to tap into the opportunities that come with the DRC joining the EAC?
Ugandans, I think, we have been on this issue of Ubuntu so much. Because our brothers and sisters and our neighbors that we have helped, in some cases we have ended up abused. But if you look at what happens elsewhere, if Americans went to a country and helped that country and stabilized it, the next company that will be roads will be an American company. The next company that will be doing telecoms will be an American company. So that is what happens, that they at least benefit, because by now we would be maybe in Somalia trying to reorganize their port authority so that they know how to collect their revenue and doing all the telecoms and the roads. But Ugandans were good at doing this brotherhood. If I have helped you, I don't need to follow up to see how you are cooking and doing the rest. I believe that you are able to look after yourself. But that is not, again, the problem of government. Because our business community, our private sector needs to be also aggressive. If we have opened now if the market in Congo has opened, you don't expect the government to tell you to go to Congo.
Well, I think very much, Ndugu Dan. Yes. Don't you think our government has a role to play here in terms of facilitating, in terms of mobilizing, and in terms of empowering Ugandans to tap into the opportunities?
Agree.
Yes.
I agree. Maybe what I want to wash away, and these are my views really, because like I said, I was in Southern Sudan myself, but statistics also don't lie. We all know how many trucks used to leave Uganda through Arua, elsewhere, this in Muri and what have you, going to Southern Sudan. Our nature of trade may not necessarily be like that of Kenya. We know that Uganda is like a food basket of the East African region. We were doing extremely very well. When they computed, we found that we were in so many dollars, hundreds of dollars in terms of trade balance as far as Uganda and Southern Sudan were concerned. Even when Southern Sudan ran into trouble, we looked at the figures that Ugandans, for instance, the traders were demanding from the government of Southern Sudan. We are not doing badly, I can assure you. Had we to stay, and maybe there are certain things also which are not talked about, like for instance construction. I was here telling you, I know of more than 8 strong construction companies, engineering companies that were from Uganda, and they were doing very good jobs in Southern Sudan. But just slightly before you told me to break off, I was saying that we need to be on the lookout. We seem to be having a very enterprising and attractive project called East African Community. Yeah. The enemy is on the lookout. They are not interested in having us realize the fruits of this enterprise. In a film called The Roots, I don't usually watch films, but when I watch one, I take a few clips to inform my debate. There was one of the main characters called Toby. I think it should be Toby. And when he's in the forest going to catch a bird, and he had almost gotten it, then the white man comes carrying a caravan of slaves. He gets frightened, and he lets the bird move. The bird makes a lot of noise. This man, the white man who was taking the slaves, his own brothers and uncles, of Kinta Kunte now, whom they renamed Toby, runs away and goes back to the ring of his own people who were organizing themselves to prevent the white man from taking more strong-bodied African men from their continent. And he's out of breath. When he reaches there, the man who was in charge of training and recruitment and ideological orientation asks what the problem was. Breathless. Kinta Kunte says, I have seen a white man. Let's be careful. The white man is around. He has not left. And he is watching our enterprise.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Comrade Dan Rugarama and Comrade Mtuta James. But you see, when you say the white man is watching, just down in Arusha, don't forget that the headquarters were built by GIZ. That is a German organization, and it's sponsored by Germany. But thank you for this discussion, and we wait to see whether the coming or the joining of DRC is going to be a Trojan horse.
Yeah, because
or it's going to be actually a blessing to the region. As earlier mentioned, we shall be joining our colleagues or a group that has gone to Entebbe to bring you live broadcast of the arrival of the remains of the former Speaker of Parliament, the late Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Olanya, and we shall keep updating you on the program for his burial. And I must say thank you very much for keeping it on UBC TV. Amanda Akola Mazima saying bye-bye.
Topic of the day on UBC, brought to you by